I don't see anything in it. Yeah. Can I attach this one on yours?
Should be able to. Let me just get it more solid.
Go ahead.
There. Line this up.
Gonna move to the front.
I guess we're good.
Yeah.
If you want to put yours up on top there, let me just make sure it's not gonna. There we go. I just gotta torque it. Should be okay there.
Oh crap! This is too big for that.
What's that?
This is too big for that. Crap.
Oh, is it?
Yes, they're right there. So you can take this off. Let's touch a little bit right here. Something is something. This. Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, it is what it is. Thank you.
Sure.
still in the courtroom. They just dismissed the jury. So, yeah. So I don't know. They took Bulger out the back. So.
Yeah.
Any
Hey, Milton.
So I thought they were originally doing it here, outside over.
They
at
are
the
doing
catch.
it. We're setting up 2 people just in case.
Okay. So who's coming up here?
Who knows?
In a few minutes. I want to ask you a question on tape as a reporter, but after this is all over.
Okay. Yeah.
You're right. It's kind of like yeah, exactly. I'm with you. Yeah, that sort of ruins your look, doesn't it? That's what radio and TV are all about. Yeah. You gotta stay down in front. We just left.
Later.
I think it should be a problem. I should be here. I have no plans on going That's right. Sure. Okay, you take care. All right. You guys do testing of this microphone while I'm here? Fine, okay. Yeah, I would. Oh, you are?
Sit around here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Get out of your way.
Yeah. Chris Evans might speak at the podium here.
What?
Oh, no, I take it back. We're speaking at the podium in addition to everything else. So that was no, I know.
Which one is it? And what do you want me to do with it? The one attached to that one. This one. Ooh. Better? I got you.
Down in front. Gotta get down in front. Down in front, please.
Down front.
Apologies.
Down.
Just, you and I are supposed to be.
You have to go there?
No.
What's that?
Do you know if I can
Yeah, as long as you don't knock anybody else off.
Have you got any thing to?
I don't. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I've had a chance to talk to several of the families that lost family members on that day, and their positivity and their ability to find perspective in all this, I think is extraordinary.
Are there some you may reach out to now after the first incident?
I haven't thought about that yet. I'm still processing what happened. Well,
This brought closure for you?
Well, I think every time we run the marathon, I don't run the marathon, I think every time everybody runs the marathon and participates in the marathon, it will be impossible for this to be too far from the top of people's minds. I would say that for me, this certainly ends the sort of ongoing trial piece of this, but I think it'll be a really long time before this episode and all that came with it ever lands in my rearview mirror, and I would think that would be true for most people.
Would you say that this has changed Boston forever, even with this fire?
I would say two things about it. The first thing I would say is that I think Boston showed tremendous resilience and enormous sense of community around this from the minute it happened. I've never been so proud of this city as I was with the way that it responded. Between the first responders, the public officials, the healthcare system, which delivered spectacularly under horrible circumstances, and the commitments that everybody made to the people who were damaged and lost as a result of this was unbelievable. And that's continued to play out all the way through for the following several years here. And as I said, many of the events that have taken place around the marathon, I think the marathon has certainly changed forever. And I certainly think for many of us who grew up here and for whom the marathon has been part of our lives since we were young, it's changed the marathon. And that, by definition, I suppose, changes Boston a little as well. But I think some of this has been, like I said, I think if Boston had any trouble understanding its identity before this happened, it sure hasn't after.
Governor, should the state of Massachusetts consider reinstating the death penalty?
That's not a very high priority for me. I'm far more focused on a whole bunch of other issues in economic development, education, even in criminal justice. This is not something that's on our radar.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
check, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. Mic check. It just came across my Twitter feed just came across. Yeah, what time? I can't believe that's an actual thing. No, I mean,
I mean, but
I'm not even above 3%.
right. Did it move? No. Like they cut the energy.
Simone, you want to pass me that and I'll set it up? You want to pass me that and I can set it up? I'm already set up over here. I got one up here, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You guys think I might be able to squeeze?
Yeah, man.
Right over there.
Some reasonable size.
Thanks. So you don't mind if I sit on your lap?
Well, sorry.
Oh, hey, this ain't that kind of party.
Yeah, in fact, I'm waiting right now. I don't know. Oh, you can put this in.
Okay, the biggest story of the year. You guys gotta go. I have to do a solid shot. Walk a shade in front of all your kids.
Consistent for so long.
What side are you on? That side. All right. They're all good. All right. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, you. I've been to the worst time. Right?
I have enough trouble with just the judge.
I couldn't think of the worst place to hit. You could sit there.
I'll actually go
As long as you don't hit the drive-by, that's fine. Oh, I couldn't hit his hand right here. This would have been personal. Yeah. Good. There you go. I'm very distraught.
Local journalist and one of his journalists outside by the
Yeah, that's why I was confused. Yeah, it ran from the sand side.
You go to the other side? No, that's blocked up too.
But it was right on the side of
She was using it. What's that?
How do you guys
we get a picture? Right. So you were in the limo? No. You showed them the door? You just oh, that's good.
Yeah.
They call that kidnapping.
See?
Mine is, I mean.
Try to just sort of say something.
Different person. I do? Yeah.
All right, yes, no.
No, it is. No, it is.
Hold on, let me ask you a question. All right.
I would never get to that.
I can't talk about it. It would be very surprising if they would express something. But I want to ask that question. The judge is not standing down. I can't. Why not? I mean, at this point, I've got a pretty decent spot.
I know.
Is Eric here? Because he was. I'll try. I don't know what my audio is going to pick up though. From my cell phone, yeah. Yeah, I'll try.
You sure that's a real watch? No, you could be shot. You could be okay. Shout outs? You get shout outs?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Okay,
You gotta remember those are the live days.
For the good or the bad, sometimes it falls the decider. On the decider. It's a very strange gag. Not a lot of sure.
Hey guys. Okay. I know it's a terrible picture. Yeah, it gets very noisy.
I'm not.
Well, they matter of fact, they also, I think,
But I'll put it right here next to but I'll put it here next to my head. This is okay.
No, is that?
I tweeted death and then they started going on like, oh shit, it's on. It was like 100% sure.
And he was in that making going about. I took my time with that. I was like, what do you make of it?
Right. No, because I heard that like, okay, I do that. And then they get like, you know why?
That worked. Where do you? Was it smart to send them at 4:30?
They held them responsible for things. Right. It was like shows that they took the time to go through that. They couldn't convince. It sounded like there was one. It sounded like there was 3 or less people. Why do you think that juror fucking
Who's doing it? We're back here. That was no, channel 25 was yesterday.
Actually, it got lost in the scramble.
You wanted to at the government. Yeah.
I hear Broussard is like.
I don't. It doesn't. Who cares? Any shit happens.
That sort of Sorry. He's 98. Yeah, it's slowly been going up. I think this morning he was turning 75. Or the afternoon.
We should do that right. It's like that's gonna be. It's just like a random day. I'm gonna be born. Happy 112th birthday.
I used to do that.
Happy 55th.
I used to get my Facebook up. I would change their birthday.
So good. I used to do that. I remember high There was one guy.
Yeah, with you now.
I don't know how it did it.
You don't have a flight, so yeah. You guarantee I make it?
Oh yeah, that was the third day.
It takes like 5. How long are we here for? You put it crash 5 minutes. You like punch
Hi, how are you?
Perfect.
Tommy, that's what we're supposed to do.
We're sitting here. Yeah, we will. We obviously.
Anybody that needs to put a mic up here, you better put it up here now. You cross that line again, you'll be cited.
Yeah, send me. I'm working. Actually,
How much did I get in? patience is done. Appreciate this.
The antics have always had this cocktail swag.
The pressure's on. That David Bryant husband.
Okay, they're going to be down in a minute. You're going to see and hear from the United States Attorney Carmen Ortiz, Vincent Lisi, L-I-S-I, who is the special agent in charge for the FBI. They will have some prepared remarks.
Down in front, down in front.
When they're done, they'll be open for Q&A. Joining them will be the Boston Police Commissioner, William Evans, Jay Peralt, P-E-R-E-A-U-L-T. He's the MIT Deputy Chief. The U.S. Marshal, John Gibbons, and the Watertown Police Chief, Ed DeVoe. They will be available for Q&A. They will not have prepared remarks. And when we're done, some victims will be coming down, much like they did in the last jury verdict. So if you want to mill around, once we get everybody back upstairs, I'll send the victims down and they'll have some prepared statements.
Do you know which victims are coming down?
I don't have the list of victims yet. They're working that out amongst themselves now. Okay, you guys ready?
Sorry, Mr. Lisi's first name?
Vincent. All right, so just need time to bring them from upstairs downstairs. Vincent Lisi, the special agent in charge for the FBI in Boston. Okay?
I'll spell their names. Start out.
All right, anybody have any other questions?
How do you spell Vincent's last name?
L-I-S-I.
Clarify. Did she get life for Sean Collier?
So I offered up the U.S. Attorney and the trial team and the special agent in charge for one-on-ones when we're all done here with the victims. So that will be on the 9th floor in the press room. I'm just going to have to do it sort of, there's a pooled lighting up there, but not a pooled camera, obviously. So those will have to be really quick. Everybody's going to get probably 3 or 4 minutes, just some quick hits for today. Anybody that wants a longer term interview should reach out to me afterwards, but for tonight, we're going to try to move them along. Print media will be invited to sit in on those interviews
With the victims.
with the U.S. Attorney and the trial team and the FBI, okay? But that's after the victims, all right?
They're going to come here, give remarks and take questions, then do one-on-ones after the victims have spoken down here.
I don't want to.
I told him to come out here because he wants to be in here. I think you should be out by the main entrance. That way, in case anyone stands out that way, we can grab it. Do you want to stick that in?
Oh, you have another one right there.
Yes.
Oh, here, take the. Yeah, I'm good.
This is what we just had to be able to look out for Alejandro, the guy with the hand. Just Carlos, sorry, Carlos, yeah. You know about him? They want us to be able to look out for him. It's fine, he'll be up here with that. That's what I figured, yeah. Thanks. All right, cool.
But the press conference is scheduled for 5 minutes, perhaps less.
There are exceptions. I remember the day. Everybody was like, that situation asked them to go like kind of
Great. Thanks a lot, Matt.
Voice her. That's exactly right next to each other.
That's exactly what they want.
What's that? The thing is, so both of our stations are going to want us to do spots at the exact same time. So we're going to be on at the exact same time.
Talking over each other.
Talking over each other.
That's right.
I'm Jack Lepiards from the station that's not Giants.
Excellent. Thanks.
You get a good photo?
Oh, I tell you, this is concept.
Yeah.
You know, like the voice
Did you get the message, John?
Yeah, I mean, it takes away a step. You have to do it. Right?
Yes.
I mean, the sound quality is.
Oh, the sound quality's not even close.
Yeah,
George, actually,
I'm like, we're how to drive channel C. Simultaneously.
yeah, right. Can you pull now?
This is like a sign. Here we go.
So is that just a
No, that is,
test?
I don't know what that was.
What?
Yeah, What's the good year of so cold?
They're
Big one, right?
Yeah.
It was cold, yeah. Snowing. Snowing.
Where are you plugged
I want to begin by thanking the jurors in this case for their service. They have sat through months of grueling and oftentimes heart-wrenching testimony and evidence. They have been incredibly attentive, and they are to be commended for their commitment to their service. I also want to thank the many victims, survivors, and witnesses who testified in this case, as well as those who came every day to support them in court. Truly, the victims and the survivors are the voices of Boston Strong and the living proof that there was much love in this city on the afternoon of April 13th, 2 years ago. I want to thank them for their testimony and their presence. Our goal in trying this case was to ensure that the jury had all of the information that they needed to reach a fair and just verdict. We believe we accomplished that goal, and that the trial of this case has shown the world what a fair and impartial jury trial is like. Even in the wake of horror and tragedy, we are not intimidated by acts of terror or radical ideals. On the contrary, the trial of this case has showcased an important American ideal, that even the worst of the worst deserve a fair trial and due process of law. Today, the jury has spoken, and Johar Tsarnaev will pay with his life for his crimes. Make no mistake, the defendant claimed to be acting on behalf of all Muslims. This was not a religious crime, and it certainly does not reflect true Muslim beliefs. It was a political crime designed to intimidate and to coerce the United States. Although the defense claimed that the defendant was himself intimidated and coerced by an older brother, the evidence did not bear that out. The defendant was an adult who came to believe in an ideology of hate, and he expressed those beliefs by killing, maiming, and mutilating innocent Americans on Patriots' Day. Today is not a day for celebration. It is not a day for political or moral debate. It is a day for reflection and healing. Our thoughts should now turn away from the Tsarnaev brothers for good and remain with those who will live in our memories forever. Crystal Marie Campbell, Martin Richard, Sean Collier, and Lindsay Liu. Our thoughts and prayers should also be with the 17 brave individuals who lost limbs during the marathon bombing, and all the other victims and survivors who still cope with injury, with loss, and are still healing. As well as our hearts should be with this great city of Boston. After 2 years in investigating this case and 12 weeks of trial, it is time to turn the page in this chapter. I want to briefly acknowledge the hard work and commitment of the investigators, the prosecutors, and the victim witness advocates in this case, in particular, Assistant U.S. Attorneys William Weinreb, Al Chakravarty, Nadine Pellegrini, and Steve Mellon. Anyone who has watched their work over the last 2 years knows that the United States has not been better represented. Their commitment, not only in the courtroom, but to the victims and survivors themselves, has been incredible. I also want to thank all of my law enforcement partners, local, state, and federal agencies, in particular the FBI, who along with the JTTF, as well as Boston Police Department, Massachusetts State Police, Watertown, and MIT Police, worked tirelessly from the very beginning to find those who were responsible for these heinous crimes and to assist in holding them accountable. I have never been prouder to be a part of such a dedicated group of law enforcement officials. And now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Vince Lisi, the Special Agent in charge for the FBI's Boston Field Office.
Good afternoon. First, I'd like to thank the amazing team that came together in the face of this horrible tragedy. And I don't just mean the team represented right here on this podium. I mean the first responders and the healthcare professionals who jumped into action on that horrible day and acted so heroically to save so many lives. And then the investigative team that came in behind them who worked side by side and worked as one team to gather a tremendous amount of evidence that was used to convict this terrorist. One thing that people need to know is that the FBI and our law enforcement partners, we show up to work every single day for the victims who rely on us to bring these people to justice. And that's just what we did here. But the most amazing thing was the inspiration and motivation that these victims gave us every single day. It was their unimaginable strength. It was a constant reminder to us of why we had to keep pushing forward and pursuing every single lead. So to the victims, I just want to say thank you. Your strength has been nothing but inspirational and strengthened our resolve to continue to show up to work every day for victims of all crimes.
Any questions?
So please, did you read Bill and Denise Richards' op-ed in the Boston Globe? And if so, did you think about changing your approach with regard to the death penalty?
I read their letter and I responded to it. I believe the Globe, I know the Globe wrote a piece containing my remarks at that time, that what they had to say, their position was very, very important to me, had a great impact, as well as really what also the other victims and survivors that I have encountered in this case have said, and that we came to this decision of pursuing the death penalty not lightly. When I say we, the Department of Justice, the Attorney General who approved it, and there was a long, careful process in which there was a tremendous amount of input from different levels of my office and the Department of Justice. And when the Attorney General approved it based on the nature of the crimes in this case and the degree of the harm, we then continued on that path. Yes, Laura?
Were you saddened or surprised that a death verdict was not returned for Officer Collier?
I would say that I don't want to comment on my personal feelings. I will say this, the jury had a really difficult job to do, and this was not an easy result for them to arrive at. And it was clear that they've been so attentive, so thorough. We appreciate the incredible service that they have provided, what they have been through, and so we're gratified with their service. And I will be reaching out to the Collier family, and I will personally be talking to them.
Given the long-term mercury prospects of the death penalty in the United States, do you think Tsarnaev will ever actually be put to death?
I don't want to speculate on that. I would believe so after all the appellate process and so forth, but I mean, I agree with you. It is a long process.
Is this confident that you charged anybody who had knowledge of this crime?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. I mean, our investigation has been so thorough and exhaustive that if somebody had anything to do with this bombing, we brought them to justice.
What
It was
about
these two brothers.
Tsarnaev's wife? Do you have any sense whether she might be charged?
I'm not going to comment on anything to do with anybody that hasn't been charged or convicted. Any pending investigations we may or may not have.
Do you ever think you'll bring charges?
Next steps that involving Tsarnaev. What happens next in terms of where he goes and how he might be put to death when and if that comes about?
Well, right now, Mr. Tsarnaev will remain in the custody of the U.S. Marshals. Be mindful that there is another proceeding, a huge proceeding, that remains to be completed, and that is a sentencing hearing. There will be a sentencing hearing that will be scheduled. We don't know when. As you heard in court, the judge scheduled a status conference. At that status conference, I would hope and expect that they would discuss when the sentencing hearing will be scheduled, at which point victims and survivors will have an opportunity to make an impact statement in writing. We've already solicited written impact statements from victims and survivors, but some obviously will be given an opportunity to be heard in court, and so we'll figure that out. But there'll be a sentencing hearing. The judge will then formally issue a sentence, and then the defendant will go into the custody of the Federal Bureau of Prisons, and then they will determine whether he goes to ADX or he goes to Terre Haute, awaiting the appellate process. But we have nothing to do with that. The Federal Bureau of Prisons will then be in charge.
Carmen, was there a particular point for you or for law enforcement, a particular part of this case or something that you found that really drove you guys to consider the death penalty, or a detail about what you saw about Mr. Tsarnaev's behavior that made you think we need to explore the toughest punishment possible?
When you look at the crimes that occurred here, the heinous gravity of the crimes, the number of deaths, a child was murdered with a weapon of mass destruction. Two young women as well. A police officer was executed in the line of duty. And so when you look at the gravity of the harm, and in particular as well, the many victims who became amputees, and many others who are suffering with other forms of injuries. And then you look at the motives, as we said in our case, the political motives. Really, this was an act of terrorism. Then that process began, and the Department of Justice approved a path that provided for the severest of punishments, a severe punishment for a severe crime. At this juncture, I'm not going to comment on what you're asking me. Is really to go into the jury's deliberations. Obviously, they've taken their time. They were deliberate in how they made their findings. Only to say that, as we said, we are gratified with the jury's verdict, and we very much respect how they concluded it. Yes. Jury, and you're listening, you're the only ones that really have full access to all of the evidence, all of the key factors that should be considered. You have the law to follow. I think that act has much more of a controlling factor rather than what your opinion may be. But clearly, never an easy decision. What I was confident of, and what I think proved true, is the tremendous work that the prosecutors and the investigators did in presenting this case. I thought that they, first of all, in terms of the investigation, they left no stone unturned. But in terms of the presentation of the evidence, I feel very gratified and very proud that we were able to show exactly what happened here, provide motives for what actually. I don't want to comment on that.
Did you view this as a referendum on the death penalty?
Michelle?
Very emotional during the presentation of the evidence. Can we hear a little bit about their reaction today? This was a dogged investigation. They got emotional, presented some of the evidence. Can we hear about their reaction and what the victims may have said to them after this verdict was rendered?
Do you want to hear from? Do you want to speak? No. Well, we're not going to talk about. We have had private conversations with victims. We've met with them throughout the process. The very beginning of the trial, I had meeting sessions with them, with the trial team, myself directly. I've personally met with many victims and families, and those conversations are private. What we've tried to do is to show support and really try to prepare them for this incredible process.
They were there at some points. Even members of the prosecution team were emotional. This has been an emotionally charged case. What are their reactions? Their prosecutors.
Here, Bill, why don't you take a stab?
Well, on behalf of the prosecution team, I think I can say that we feel very privileged to have represented the United States in this case. We're grateful to the U.S. Attorney and to the Department of Justice for entrusting us that the entire story was told. And we are grateful for all the people who assisted us in that endeavor. It's been a long haul. We think that we did our best, and we're grateful for the opportunity we had to do that. We're grateful for the jury's hard work in this case. And it is an emotional experience to be part of, but part of your job as a prosecutor to put your emotions aside and follow the law, do what your job requires, and that's what we tried to do in this case.
You said you wanted to tell the whole story through this trial. Is that why you didn't take the plea deal early when they offered to plead life without parole?
Well, we can't comment on anything that isn't in the public record in this case, but it's always the job of prosecutors in prosecuting a case to try and make sure that the story gets told and that the jury has the information they need to achieve a fair verdict.
Bill, is there an answer in all of this you didn't get that you most wish today you knew the answer to?
You know, the four of us standing up here, along with many other people who aren't standing here, but who were every bit as much partners with us in this case as we have spent the last 2 years working night and day, researching the facts of this case, trying to understand what happened. And I think that we have as full and clear a picture of what happened as we could hope to have.
Mr. Weinrath, in her close, Judy Clark sounded frustrated and she tries to give a clear, concise answer as to I think a lot of us watching the case felt that whatever we learned about your incarceration case on the site, you felt as a prosecutor like you have clear insight into his mind, what happened to make this hero?
Nobody can see into another person's mind. And it's often the case in criminal cases that you have to prove that somebody had an intent to do something or a motive to do something, and you do that in the only way that you can as a prosecutor, which is that you look at the facts, you look at the things that they said, you look at all the evidence in the case, and you present it to the jury, and ultimately it's for them to make those judgments. I'm not a mind reader, but our job was to try and recognize the facts and the evidence that would help the jury make that decision for themselves, and that's what we tried to do.
Last question.
Bill, as you prepared for this trial,
little to no reports throughout this entire trial, including today. What, if anything, does that tell you?
Well, I'm not going to comment on Mr. Tsarnaev or anything that he did or said or anything like that. That wouldn't be appropriate for me. Again, the issue of remorse was an issue that was put before the jury. They heard evidence about it, and they rendered their judgment on it, and I think that it's their judgment and not our personal views on anything that really matters.
Okay, guys, thank you.
Commissioner Evans, what's your reaction to Hartman left out and brought out of Boston? Commissioner Evans, can we have the commissioner for a second?
Want to talk to the commissioner? Absolutely. Commissioner Evans.
Chief DeVoe? Chief DeVoe, can we hear?
Where's parole?
Where's parole?
Yeah, parole. Jay.
Just a question for you on this now. It's not necessarily a day of celebration, but for your city and for your township, is this a day of satisfaction, at least knowing that the citizens of the city and the town many of them have been hoping for this?
Yeah, I think it is. It was a tragedy. I don't think there's any winners here. Obviously, again, 4 families lost some loved ones, and I want to thank the U.S. Attorney, Carmen Ortiz, and her team. It's a sad day. Nobody wants to see what happened happen, but I think everyone gets some satisfaction. I think the most important thing here is I think we send a message, a strong message, that we're not going to tolerate terrorism. And I think whether you agree with the death penalty or don't, I think the message sends that, they're not going to blow up our marathon, they're not going to blow up our city, and they're not going to inflict any type of terror in our country. I think that's the strong message we sent today. And I just want to thank Carmen for all her great work, and it does bring a lot of satisfaction to our officers in the Boston Police Department.
Commissioner, can you repeat the
Yeah, well, the message is that, you know, if anything, that we're not going to tolerate terrorism in this country. We're not going to see someone blow up our marathon, blow up our city. And I think, you know, whether you're for the death penalty or not, which is, you know, a lot of us have trouble coming to that, I think we send a clear message that we're not going to tolerate terrorism in our country. And I think that's what we take out of this.
Mr. Burrell, the jury convicted Jahar of killing Officer Blair, but they didn't decide the sentence of his death. Can you react to that at all?
I don't think my personal reactions are really important here. I think I'll stand by the statement that Chief DeFava released, that we are very appreciative to the U.S. Attorney's Office, the FBI, especially appreciative to the prosecution team. And we stand by the system and we support the jurors in their decision. So I missed the first one.
Can you tell us what it means to the MIT community?
Well, I think that the closure is important to the MIT community as well as the families. I think people have personal feelings on what the sentence is, and that's up to them to kind of work through. When there was the 30 counts in the first phase that came back as all guilty, I believe that we felt a great sense of relief there. And we
Another one critically wounded, 2 people were shot at, and then we had a police vehicle shot upon as well. Can you talk a little bit about what the police were up against up there in Watertown and the aftermath of the Watertown shooting? And think about all of the police officers who actually engaged in the firefight with these suspects.
Well, I think during the trial, you saw, in a real crisis situation, you saw law enforcement at its very best. You saw it on Boylston Street, the first responders. You saw it at MIT, and then in the early morning hours, you saw it in Watertown. Those people came to kill Watertown police officers. Their intention was to kill them, kill Joe Reynolds, execute him just like he did Sean Collier. And there's been a lot of criticism of police officers around the country lately. But your local police department is out there fighting for you every day. And the Watertown Police Department is an example of that. Those officers put their lives on the line to protect that community, to make sure these terrorists didn't go down to New York City and kill more people. So I think that played out at the trial. And you know, my thoughts now are with the survivors. Those 2 brothers will never, back in the Watertown Police Department, we won't think about them anymore. We'll think about the survivors, the Jeff Bowmans, the Heather Abbotts, the Celeste Cochrans. So I'm very proud of the men and women of the Watertown Police Department. Commissioner Evans has an unbelievable Boston Police Department. Billy and I have both run the Boston Marathon. He talks about how important it is for us in this community to get back to doing what we do, for Boston to come back, do the marathon, and us start to enjoy our lives again. And I think today is the first day we can start to do that.
Chief, you attended most of this trial, and were there any points that stuck out for you, either among the victim testimony or the testimony of law enforcement that particularly made an impression on you?
Well, I was proud of my officers that testified, but what sticks in my mind is the survivors and how dignified they were when they came in, how poised they were, and how they rose to the occasion. They were at their very best when they came in, and the prosecution team did an unbelievable job of preparing them for them. But as all the reporters that sat in that trial day after day, it was emotional for all of us. It was very difficult to do, and you know, the jury had a tough job to do, and my thoughts and prayers are with them. They're going to go through a difficult time, and I thank them for their efforts.
Okay, thank you guys very much. We're going to have to step up. Thank you guys.
So the victims are coming
All right,
back?
we have